Coming up next on All About Android, it's me, Jason Howell, and my co-host, Ron Richards. We're hanging out tonight talking all about Android. That's what we do on Tuesday nights. We talk all about the Pixel 6 fingerprint sensor. So many facets to that story. Also, the Nord 2 and how it exploded in someone's pocket, and it's very not good. Forced two-step verification is rolling out for 150 million users right now. Also, Twitter Blue's, anemic Android launch, your email, and a whole lot more than just that coming up next on All About Android.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by userway.org. Userway ensures your website is accessible, ADA compliant, and helps your business avoid accessibility-related lawsuits. The perfect way to showcase your brand's commitment to millions of people with disabilities. It's not only the right thing to do, it's also the law. Go to userway.org/twit for 30% off Userway's AI-powered accessibility solution. And by Audible. Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment. Right now, for a limited time, save 46% on your first 4 months of Audible. That's only $7.95 a month. Give yourself the gift of listening. For more, go to audible.com/allaboutandroid or text allaboutandroid to 500-500. Hello and welcome to All About Android, episode 550, recorded on Tuesday, November 9th, 2021. Your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards. How you doing, Jason?
Oh, yeah. Good. How you doing, Ron Richards?
It's just two bros talking about Android. That's what it is this week.
Talking about the droids.
Talking about the droids. You know, I was thinking about what do I want to do tonight? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to talk to Jason about some droids.
That's what we do on Tuesdays. What would Tuesday night be without talking about Android? Because we
honestly, I don't know.
For almost 11 years.
I was just gonna say, for the past decade of my life, it's been this. It's been Jason. It's been Burke. It's been everyone else at Twit. It's been everyone listening and watching on the live stream. Everyone listening and watching on the podcast at home. You guys are just the best, and it never gets old. There's always something interesting about Android to talk about. So
there is
kind of like now that I've been on Android 12 for a couple of weeks. Have you noticed that when you tap an app, it shows you the app icon first and then loads the app?
Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't just show you the app icon, but it's like an animation icon.
Yeah. No, I don't like it. Don't like it.
You don't like it?
Don't like it. Just give me the app. Just give me the app.
Well, maybe, but so is the thinking behind that if it's going to take a second for an app to load all of its data into memory, it might as well give you this transitionary thing to cover it? That's kind of what I thought it might have something to do, but maybe it's just delaying the launch for no good reason other than branding. I don't know.
Right.
What do you think?
It could be some sort of because the thing is, you know how some apps sometimes have the preload screen kind of thing?
Yeah.
It could be a part of that, like pulling stuff into memory. I'm not a developer. I don't know. We should get a developer on the show to talk about it. But it could be kind of like a preload kind of situation. But that's something we can ask someone someday. So who knows? And it's the wonderful mysteries of Android, Yeah.
And it's also very graphical. It kind of ties in with, a lot of what we're seeing on Android 12 being just a very visual overhaul. And that's something that catches your eye when you launch an app and it does the animation, whether you want it there or not. But I guess it's kind of like the graphical app, icon version of all of the dead space that people complain about in Android 12 and notifications. Like, why did you do that when you could have been information dense? Why did you put up that animation when you could just take me to the app? So I don't know. Can't win them all. Can't make everyone happy. There's one thing we've learned in 10 years of doing All About Android is that you can't make everybody happy. That goes for so many facets in this life.
Too true, sir. Too true. Words well spoken. So,
all right. Well, it's time for us to jump into the news. Let's do it, Burke. Take us there.
This Android news bumper already has a screen protector. I don't know what it protects you from, but it
there. Does. I feel better now knowing that there's a screen protector on that Android news bumper. I know that I can drop it to the floor with with passion and force, and it won't get scratched, at least. I don't know if the same could be said for the Pixel 6. I guess it depends on the screen protector. We'll get to that in a second. But I thought we'd start with a little bit about the fingerprint sensor, which, as you know, on the Pixel 6 is embedded into the display. It's an in-display fingerprint sensor. Not that that's anything new. We've seen these time and time again in the past however many years at this point. But it seems to me, and tell me if you agree, that of all the people complaining about the Pixel 6, it almost always seems to have something to do with the fingerprint sensor. And I'm not, like myself not included, I don't really care. It's fine for me, but would you agree?
Again, I like I said, we talked about it. It was last week, right? Time has no more meaning.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit last week.
I agree with you. The two biggest complaints I've seen about the Pixel 6 have been the fingerprint sensor and have been the battery time on 5G.
The battery.
Right. Yeah. Like there's something going on the Pixel 6, not on the Pro, mind you, just on the 6, with battery management with the 5G modem. And I don't know, I need to get on 5G to test it myself, and I just haven't had time to do that. But as far as the fingerprint sensor goes, I really think it has a lot to do with a lot of people's lack of exposure to an in-display fingerprint sensor at this point. Because if you have, it's the first time it's been in a Pixel phone. If you have an upgrade path that people have been on the Pixel 5 or the Pixel 4 or 3 all the way back.
Yeah, you're right.
You've always had, you're used to the one on the back, and now it's a new paradigm, and maybe they're just not used to how that works, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. Although there are, a decent amount of tech reviewers and stuff also complaining about this. So it does span outside of just the people who might be new to it. But there's a number of things that are happening in this realm and related to the fingerprint sensor. Google went on the record about some of the complaints around the slowness issue. Said, quote, "The Pixel 6 fingerprint sensor utilizes enhanced security algorithms. In some instances, these added protections can take longer to verify or require more direct contact with the sensor." All probably totally true. I mean, I would imagine and hope that all fingerprint sensors would require that, would have those protections built in. I don't know why that would explain that this sensor takes more time, unless Google's saying that they're doing more with their protection and algorithms underneath than others are. I think that's what they're implying, but
yeah, of course it is, because they've got the AI power and they've got the chip and all that sort of stuff. So maybe this is the best fingerprint sensor ever, and you just need to be patient.
we just don't know. Google didn't feel like you needed to know that it's the best, right?
Right.
And they're like, okay, fine. We'll let you know it's the best, okay?
Well, it is interesting to see them responding to it and acknowledging, or not acknowledging it, but at least acknowledging people's frustration to it. I like when you have that level of transparency and honesty with it and kind of trying to explain what's going on with it. But a good question, though, is it truly the best fingerprint scanner?
I mean, who the heck knows? I don't even know how to answer that question, because, you remember when the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor was coming out for the Galaxy phones, and that was going to be so much better than the optical version, so much more secure. And yet it was just really slow. And now everybody kind of prefers, or not everybody, but so many people, end up preferring the optical, even though because it's a little bit faster, even though it might be a less secure. So what is best security? I don't even know.
Right.
If best security is a version of the fingerprint sensor that's still incredibly slow but more secure, some people are going to be fine with that for the security kind of boost, and others aren't, obviously. So I guess it depends on who you ask. Not only all that, Google released a fingerprint calibration tool for repair shops. And along the way, this kind of revealed that the fingerprint sensor itself is tied to the motherboard, which basically means that the display repair, to repair the display on this device, is far more complicated than it is on other phones, carries a much higher risk of damage during the swap, which, I saw some people kind of comparing this to what Apple does with its iPhones. It basically, in essence, makes it less likely that a average, Joe Schmoe is going to pick up this phone and be able to replace the display, or rather, there's more likelihood that something might happen along the way if Joe Schmoe chooses to do that. So,
yeah.
for whatever that's.
I always wonder what Joe Schmo is going to choose to do, though. That's the question.
Yeah. Yeah. Is Joe Schmo really going to choose to replace the display on his Pixel 6? I don't know. And then finally, there was a Redditor who posted that his Pixel 6 that has only his thumb registered is unlockable by his wife using her pointer finger, and demonstrated it in a video. Showed everything that you need to see. Showed that there was only one imprint memorized, that he used his thumb and it unlocked it. Then he locked it and turned the phone around, and his wife put her pointer finger on there, and sure enough, it unlocked. They mentioned that they were using an O-Motion screen protector, which apparently could be part of the problem. But I mean, even if that is part of the problem, like, hey, that's a great way to get around screen protection or like a fingerprint protection, is to have a certain screen protector, and you might be more inclined to be able to break into a phone. I don't know.
Well, I was going to say, this is the argument against it being the best fingerprint sensor, right? Because clearly, and when I saw the headline and the write-up for this, I didn't notice that they had a screen protector on it. I feel like, do this video without the screen protector. That's what I'd be curious to see, because I wonder if there's something going on with the screen protector that's mussing with the camera and doing the whole thing. But
have you wiped the screen protector? Maybe there was a thumbprint that was still imprinted into the glass. I have to imagine they've done and thought of that, but who the heck knows? Google has since shared a select few screen protectors that it recommends for the Pixel 6. Primarily, they have to be made for Google certified, made by Zag, Otterbox, or Panzerglass. And this is just because, I've also heard reports of people using other screen protectors and having the fingerprint sensor just not work entirely, due to the screen protector that they're using.
And that's the thing with the in-display fingerprint sensor, is that it's designed to go through the glass as designed. Without they're not going to be able to test every screen protector or every little, so it's like, I know it's the balance between functionality and protection. I haven't put one of those screen protectors on a phone probably in ever. I'm trying to think if I've ever done that.
I haven't done it since literally birth.
I did it on my Trio. I do remember putting it on my Trio.
Okay.
I forget which model Trio I had, but it was pretty darn cool. And I remember getting one of the screen protectors and having a hell of a time with the little plastic thing to put it on and smooth out the air bubbles and all that stuff.
You gotta get the air bubbles out.
And I was like, nothing's worth this. I was exactly. It looked awful, and I never did it again. So there it is.
I think the times that I've appreciated having a screen protector, it shipped with the phone out of the box, and it was already applied. So they applied it and actually OnePlus has long been very good at this. If you get a OnePlus phone, I don't know if they do it with every one, but many of them I would get, and they'd already have a screen protector applied to the display. I didn't have to run into these bubble issues. The problem with any screen protector is it's great until it gets dinged, and then it's then you're just looking at the ding until you replace it with a new one. But at least it's not your display. That's the point.
It reminds me actually of this morning. I was actually cleaning our. We have a Samsung electric stove, which is just a total glass top, and the heating element is underneath the glass. And I got the special sponge, and I got the special cleaner, and I've been doing so well. We've been in this house almost a year. And then I was doing it, and then I saw there's just a big scratch on one of the burners. I was like, God damn it.
No.
So
I hate that. Yeah.
So it's like a phone, but magnified, so.
Right.
But that's the thing. I've been on the record for years stating I don't put cases on my phones, and I don't put screen protectors on my phones. And part of it is that you're living on the edge, because if you drop it and break it, you got to deal with the consequences. But also, I don't have the bulk. I don't have stuff like that getting away with it. Everything works as it needs to. And, and part of it is that I live in fear that I'm going to drop my phone, so I don't drop it. So, except when I do, and then I have to buy a new phone. So
I wish that happened to me. I wish that was enough incentive for me to not drop my phone and break it anyways. But that isn't the case.
Yep. Oh, man. All right. Well, moving on to the next one. So an ongoing dispute with Sonos could be the reason why your phone suddenly can't change the volume on a Chromecast device simply by using the volume rocker button. Which is it's a fascinating tale. What does Sonos have to do with Chromecast? So this change actually appeared with Android 12. A Googler replying to friend of the show, Michelle Rahman, on Twitter, acknowledged that this is not a bug and it's due to a legal issue that I cannot share in a public place.
Right.
Also, Google is working on it and hopes to fix the problem soon, and that fix is actually expected in Android 12L. So fascinating in terms of like the legal line between what a volume control button can do. But it seems like if there's a fix expected in Android 12L, this is a temporary problem. It seems like. So.
Sounds like it's a temporary problem. Yeah. So this Sonos reference has to do with a Google Sonos court case. The initial ruling happened a few months ago that Google had infringed on 5 of Sonos's patents related to smart speakers. So that's the guess, that if they're talking about this has something to do with something legal that they can't really talk about. And by the way, this ruling is like the first step. It's a preliminary ruling. It hasn't been fully, so if it's still working its way through the courts and everything, that's got to be what this is all about. But that's a really nice feature to be able to just pick up your phone and like turn down the volume. I've totally done that a number of times. I haven't cast in a really long time, but when I have, I've definitely used that feature. So that's kind of lame to have it disappear.
I will say, while we're talking about Chromecast, and just to stay, somewhat on or off topic, everyone knows I'm using the new Google TV with Chromecast or whatever it's called, the new dongle. And I remember, Jason, a couple of weeks ago, we had a guest on the show. We were talking about the low memory in the device, right?
Yeah.
What is it? Is
it 4 gigs?
It's 4 gig. It's 4 gig.
Oh my goodness.
And I went to go install a new app. I think I was installing the PBS Kids app for my kids, of all things. Just let the kids watch Daniel Tiger. Come on, Google.
Right.
And it said I didn't have enough room. I didn't have enough room for the app. And so I went in and looked in my storage, and sure enough, I had like 30 meg left. And so I had to delete the MLB app. I deleted, I had an app called Quello that was like, actually, you dig this, Jason. It's called Quello, Quello, and it's all concerts, just decades and decades of concerts. Yeah. There was actually a documentary on there about CBGB's in the 80s, the New York hardcore scene at CB's that I wanted to watch. So I had to delete that app because I watched the documentary and I was like, goodbye. But I had to literally free up space. And then I'm looking at my NVIDIA Shield that's also on the shelf and not plugged in. I'm like, oh man, you're looking real sexy to me right about now. So I might dust that off just because the thing is, I've also noticed that the Chromecast is getting sluggish. Like it's and I don't know how much that has to deal with not enough, cache
space,
or
right.
Space. Or like I still haven't wired Ethernet to the TV yet. I bought the plug with the Ethernet jack. I just haven't run the Ethernet cable over there yet. So it's still on Wi-Fi. That could be it, but I don't know. It seemed kind of odd. But yeah, so that's the latest from the Richards living room. So
nothing stays perfect. Damn it! Why can't things just stay perfect forever? But that's just not how the world works, apparently.
Yeah.
And then finally, first wave of Google accounts being automatically switched over to two-factor authentication appears to be underway. Google has said by the end of the year, 150 million accounts are going to be auto-enrolled into two-factor authentication, which, I mean, just right there, and I think we've talked about this on the show in the past. I know it's been on other shows on the network, but that right there just sounds like a scary endeavor when you're talking about just what there is at risk if someone gets locked out of their Google account. If the user hasn't synced their account to an authenticator app, or if the user hasn't tied their account to a phone number for SMS, then Google is going to automatically switch on their 2SV, which is two-step verification. And this, I don't know if you've seen this, but I've been doing two-factor for quite a while, and this is kind of my preferred method, is where when you say log into your Google account on your browser, a notification comes up on your phone, and you tap that, and it says, someone's logging into your Google account. Is that you? And you tap yes. That's your second step of verification. So I'll be curious to see how this rolls out.
I get the number one too, where it says tell what number is on your phone, and you have to match it. I get that every once in a while
seen
too.
That,
which I don't,
much less frequently, but I've seen that before. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how they determine that. Why would I sometimes get the number one, but mostly get the is this you, yes or no?
I don't know. I don't know why. I was wondering about that. Yeah. So
there must be a reason. There must be a something.
Here's the thing: you can't. It's an unpredictable algorithm. You can't predict it, or else that people can try to figure out how to break it. So you never know when you're going to get the number thing.
Keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
They need to do all sorts of, fun other captchas. Like a couple of months ago on Security Now, they talked about a Doom captcha where you had to shoot like five monsters in Doom in order to pass along. And, maybe that's what they need to do. They need to get really creative here.
I would just be doing captures all day just to play Doom.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I could just play Doom, but yeah.
Totally. Really effective.
Do you remember the first time you played? Do you remember the first time you played Doom?
Oh, it was.
I remember when Doom came. I remember when Doom came out, and it was like what? Because Wolfenstein had been out already, and Wolfenstein was pretty cool. And then Doom came out, and you just felt like the world changed. It was great. Oh,
yeah, totally. It was a pretty revolutionary game at that time, and now you can literally play it on everything, including calculators and stuff. Heck.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we've got some hardware news, of course, to follow up on. But first, this episode of All About Android is brought to you by userway.org. Userway is awesome. They have a unique and amazing vision that's super important, one that we really connect with here. We talk about accessibility issues on the show a lot. We try and shine a light on accessibility. We feel like it's important to do so, and that's what Userway is all about. Every website, without exception, needs to be accessible because it's a public entity, and frankly, because it's the right thing to do. We want to make everything that's out there accessible to all. And Userway has an incredible AI-powered solution that tirelessly enforces the hundreds of WCAG guidelines. All you need is a single line of JavaScript. And with that, Userway can actually achieve more than an entire team of developers. It's wicked smart. It makes your website accessible in ways that could otherwise be overwhelming to do without Userway. But Userway solutions make it simple, make it easy, of course, cost-effective, and you can actually check it out. They have a free scanning tool that you can get started with just to see if your website is ADA compliant. Userway's AI and machine learning solutions power accessibility for many of the leading brands, many of the leading websites trusted by Coca-Cola, Disney, eBay, FedEx, and so many other brands out there. Now Userway is making its best-in-class enterprise-level accessibility tools available to small and medium-sized businesses, really opening things up. Operating an accessible and compliant website, like I said, it isn't only the right thing to do, it also actually makes business sense, because when you think about it, millions of people are going to require Userway just to make a purchase of your product. And if you don't have Userway working on your site, you might miss out on that. When you need to scale, you need Userway. For years, Userway has been on the cutting edge. They've been creating innovative accessibility technologies that really push the envelope of what's possible with AI, machine learning, computer vision. Userway's AI automatically fixes violations at the code level. So they're making these changes dynamically. And just a few things, just a couple examples of what they do. They can auto-generate image alts. So essentially writing image descriptions for you, so those who can't see the images can get a good description of what's actually in them. Remediates complex navigation menus, which can be a total Achilles heel for companies. Userway ensures that all pop-ups are accessible, can fix vague link violations, fix broken links, that sort of stuff. Ensures your website makes use of accessible colors, but more importantly, doing that while also remaining true to your brand. And Userway gives you a detailed report of all the violations that were actually fixed on your website, which is really useful to refer to. Userway is platform agnostic. So whether you're using WordPress, Shopify, or Wix, you can easily add Userway and get the benefits there. And the same goes for AEM, Sitecore, SharePoint, just to name a few. Userway integrates seamlessly with all of them, And it's just super easy to do. Let UserWay help your business meet its compliance goals and improve the experience for your users. And actually, the voice of Siri, who many consider the world's most popular voice assistant, has a message about UserWay.
Hi, I'm Susan Bennett, the original voice of Siri. You won't hear me say something like this too often. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're looking for. But every day, that's what the internet is like for millions of people with disabilities. UserWay fixes all of that with just one line of code.
UserWay can make any website fully accessible and ADA compliant. With UserWay, everyone who visits your site can browse seamlessly and customize it to fit their needs. It's also a perfect way to showcase your brand's commitment to millions of people with disabilities. Think about it. When you've got this stuff running on your site and they can actually access it, that sets you apart from the sites that don't do that, that can't do that. Go to userway.org/twit and get 30% off UserWay's AI-powered accessibility solution. UserWay, making the internet accessible for everyone. Visit userway.org/twit today, and we're just so thrilled to have UserWay on board with us here at All About Android, so thank you. All right, it's time to jump into some hardware news. Let's do it.
All right. I want you to know when I go to sleep at night, I dream of foldables. Just period. That's it. So much short. Which actually, I when we're done with this news story, Jason, I have a off the script thing to mention to you. But
cool.
So our friends over at 9 to 5 Google share that they expect the Pixel foldable phone to appear next year, which I feel like isn't a big going out on a limb given Android 12L and all the stuff we've seen about the Pixel foldable. Like, I also expect to see it next year. So there you go, 9 to 5 Google. But however, thanks to an APK insight, it looks like the camera system will actually be a step down from the Pixel 6. Details show that the device will likely share the camera system of the Pixel 5. The very familiar 12.2 megapixel IMX363 that's been in use since the Pixel 3, and also a 12 megapixel IMX386 ultra wide, and also an inner and outer 8 megapixel selfie cameras. Code also referred to 2022 as the release year for the device. So I feel like couple things. One, the Pixel foldable is coming next year. It's just a matter of when, period.
Yeah,
Two,
it feels that way.
This is an easy way to make it sound like it's bad because it's using the old camera system. But what do we know about foldables, Jason? What have we learned about them?
Well, I mean, I think most of the foldables seem to be a step down in certain aspects of hardware because
why is that?
Because the cost seems to be, I mean, my estimation is the cost is being folded into the advanced technology that is a foldable that's very different from everything else that they're doing.
Yep. So you
guess.
nailed it on the you nailed it on the head. It's my speculation. I don't know for sure, but it is it's cost. I gotta imagine they're trying to keep costs down, and if they use the cutting edge new great camera systems in the Pixel 6, that cost goes up even higher. You're dealing with a different kind of glass, you're dealing with a different kind of spec. So it's the first one out of the gate is gonna be a little less than the flagship, and that's okay because it's foldable and it's the future. So it'll get there. So just be patient. Don't let this rain on your foldable parade. So
yeah, and not to mention, I mean, if the camera that they're relying on as the main camera is still that very familiar, like you said, 12.2 megapixel camera that's, been the staple since the Pixel 3, they're not like, that's not a bad choice. It's still a very great camera. It was a solid camera in the 5 and the 4 and the 3, everything in between there. We've been ranting and raving about that camera for years. So it's not like suddenly the image quality is horrible in that camera. It's a good camera. It's just, it's not the kind of like new forward thinking, advanced camera that Google is leaning into. And by the way, jury's still out. People are still deciding whether this camera is better or is the same or whatever. I think it's a safe move. Possibly they already have kind of deals or they have stock of this camera, because they were working with it for so long. That probably brings down the cost of the foldable. So I don't think it's a bad decision. I think when you're bringing out your first foldable, your effort or your goal is to release a successful foldable, that doesn't necessarily mean it has top of the line premium specs through and through. It means you have to get the elements that make a foldable good as a foldable device good. And that's what the focus is out of the gate in the beginning.
Yep. Agreed. So I'm hopeful for it. I want to see what's going to happen. And this is my plus one to this article. I was actually this weekend, I was like, because we're getting to be the end of the year and, and taxes and money and expenses and all stuff like that. And I'm in an enviable position where I always budget a little for R&D and like, what do I want to buy and this sort of thing so I can write it off. And I hadn't really done much this year because it just whatever. And I was like, what if I bought the Samsung Foldable and used that for a while? So I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but I'm considering it. So
okay. Well, then my question is: are you thinking the Flip or the Fold?
That's a great question, and that's part of what I'm thinking about. I kind of like the Flip. Although I feel like aesthetically, that's the aesthetic I kind of want to go with. I feel like the Fold. I don't know. It's a very good question. That's what I was mulling. I was like, if I was going to get one, which one would I get? Which one do you think I should get? Turn it back.
Well, I don't know if I know the right answer for that because I think they serve two different things, right? As we've talked about in the past, the Flip really seems to be like the consumer friendly foldable, like you know what I mean. It's less expensive. It's well made. Like it's a great phone. It's smaller. It's more compact and everything. The Fold. So that's the Flip. The Fold is really kind of like the forward thinking, like, and this is what a foldable can really do. Check it out. Now you've got a tablet in your pocket. When I look at you, Ron, I think having the future is more important than having the consumer thing. I personally think I see you more with the Fold than I see you with the Flip.
You might be right, and I don't know. I'm gonna take some time this weekend to go down to a store, to a carrier store, and try. I want to hold them. I want to feel it. I want to, and we'll see where that's at. Maybe,
Ron,
maybe
you gotta know when to hold them, and you have to know when to fold them. So
that's good. There it is. There it is. But yeah, I'm Samsung. And that's the other thing too. Is like, do I want a Samsung? I don't know that I want a Samsung. Like, or do I wait for the Google Pixel foldable? Like, I don't know. It's like I'm feeling impulsive, but I also this is a lot. Yeah. And actually,
you're feeling impulsive.
And Pac and W in the chat room says yes. You got to test the pocketability of it.
That's true.
Which is an important thing. My jeans are I don't wear loose fitting jeans anymore. This isn't 1996. Right? Like, can I easily slide that phone in my pocket and pull it out and take it out? You got the
back pocket test.
The back pocket test. Lots of. Do you remember our tablet back pocket test? That was a fun puzzle. Yeah, that was fun.
The Z Fold makes that arguably a little bit easier, but then it's also like a brick. Like those things are heavy. They're big and they're heavy. And more expensive. So I'll be curious to see where this goes.
Exactly. And Cousin Ajah in the chat room says, if I could fit a Nexus 7 in my back pocket, what else could I fit back there?
So very true. Very true. Well, maybe, just maybe, you'll be getting the next phone that I'm talking about. No, I bet you probably aren't. In fact, I'm pretty certain you aren't. But I kind of label this: OnePlus gets a thumbs up, and OnePlus gets a thumbs down. So we'll start with the thumbs up.
Wait, are we reset? Are we resetting the calendar? Is it back to the OnePlus marketing disaster calendar? It's been 200 days since we had to apologize for OnePlus.
I mean, it's been a while, right? Like it's been a while since we've had to apologize for OnePlus. But I don't know that this is a marketing disaster. I think this is just, well, when we get to the thumbs down, like it'll be apparent. Like it's just oh man, that sucks that happened. We'll start with the thumbs up though. The Nord 2, which isn't even out yet. It hasn't even been released yet. I think the release is officially on November 15th in India. Nord 2 is getting a Pac-Man edition of the phone, which, I mean, I'm a fan of Pac-Man. So, okay, if a company wants to release a phone that's themed after Pac-Man, like, interesting timing, but I could support that. So I think in theory that's pretty cool. OnePlus says the device glows in the dark, so that's kind of interesting. Also says that it's going to don a maze inspired by the classic game. Okay, I don't really know what that looks like because OnePlus failed to show a photo of the device, so it's entirely up to our imagination as far as what this is going to look like.
Hang on. Can we back up? Because I understand there's a lot here to unpack, and you went a little quickly. Did you say the device glows in the dark?
That's what they said. They say the device glows in the dark. I think that's pretty cool.
I think that's very cool, but if it's... How will it don a maze inspired by the classic game? Does the phone...
Wait, hold on a second. Why? What does that have to do with Pac-Man?
I don't know. Maybe it reminds you of being in an arcade in the 80s and everything. All the games are glowing. Who the heck knows? It glows in the dark. Isn't that enough?
That's crazy.
Isn't that neat in and of itself?
That's crazy town.
So I don't know. I gave that thumbs up. It could be a thumbs like maybe because we really don't know much other than them telling us it exists. I would have loved to see a photo. I'm sure that's coming. But now we get to the thumbs down. This is a big thumbs down. The owner of a non-Pac-Man version of the Nord 2, which, like I said, releases officially November 15th. It's not out yet. Had the device in his pants pocket while riding his bike when, you guessed it, the battery exploded.
Oh my gosh.
He suffered severe second-degree burns, and definitely don't scroll on this page, Burke. Don't do it because there are graphic images on there that show it, and you don't want to see them. But the victim of this explosion bought the device on Amazon 2 months ago. So I don't know how you locate this device that hasn't released yet on Amazon a full 2 months before it's released. OnePlus is apparently in contact with him, has issued a refund, is taking care of his medical bills. And apparently to date, this is the third reported incident of exploding battery in the Nord 2, a device that still has not even released yet. That looks nasty. Look at that. That looks nasty. That phone is just destroyed. Imagine that in your pocket. Ugh.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. Really horrifying.
Oh my God.
So,
thank God they're paying his medical expenses. Gee, oh my God.
Yeah, that's the least they could do in a situation like this. I mean, I suppose at the end of the day, with the amount of smartphones that are sold worldwide, like just in sheer numbers, something like this is going to happen at some point with some phones. Like it's just a guarantee that that's going to happen. You just really don't know when. It's kind of, unless you've got the Note 7 thing where it was systemic. It was like, okay, obviously there's something really wrong with this particular model. They did something along the line that many of them are suffering as a result of it. So I don't know if this is like symptomatic of a larger Nord 2 issue, or if this just kind of happens and sometimes these make the news and sometimes they don't. But no doubt about it, whoever this was, I feel for this person because it looks very painful. Oof.
Yeah. Horrifying.
Yeah. Don't want that to happen. Never want that phone to explode in your pocket. Oh my goodness.
Don't want anything. No explosions in your pocket. I mean,
true.
I'm going to stop now while I'm ahead of the game. So, all right. So on to our next story. So John Prosser at Front Page Tech had a big Galaxy S22 leak, like a big Galaxy S22 sized leak. He claims the new series will be announced on February 8th with the February 18th release, which is in line with old Mobile World Congress timing. Like, are we getting back to the February releases, Jason? Possibly, maybe. Maybe, yeah. And the leak shows off some photos of the S22 Ultra, which, yes, it houses an S Pen, likely, and so this makes this likely the official Note successor. And the camera array is very iPhone-ish, with the lenses sitting on their own with no camera housing square. And it's got a hole punch display, so no in-display sensor either. So whether or not you believe these leaks, this looks pretty interesting.
Looking pretty solid. Yeah. And I mean, some people would say John Prosser is a hit or miss with his leaks. I think he's been doing pretty solid with a lot of his leaks lately. He nailed the Pixel 6 at some point. I have to, my memory, unless it's failing me, I remember he was he was one of the people that was leaking on the 6. So
yeah. I mean, the S Pen thing doesn't surprise me. I mean, we know that there's going to be a Note successor. It makes sense for it to be the Ultra, right? It's just that camera thing. That's just that there's a whole lot of lenses in there. Just there's a lot of lenses.
Yeah, I mean, but it's interesting looking at them without the housing, which has been such a kind of a signature of a lot of the phones lately. And these trends are just so interesting to follow. Now Samsung's like, oh, well, let's go without the box and we'll just have the cameras on their own. That's what iPhone is doing.
What I also think is interesting is that there's actually a condition called trypophobia. Have you heard about this, Jason?
What is this?
And it's the trypophobia is an aversion to the sight of irregular patterns or clusters of small holes or bumps. Oh. So it's actually, and there's actually people who suffer from fear of holes. And I actually know someone who suffers from this and is like horrified of the iPhone and horrified of phones for this reason.
Like when you're saying like fear of holes, like the camera, the camera bumps. So under healthline.com, it says trypophobia is a fear or disgust of closely packed holes. Oh. People who have it feel queasy when they're looking at surfaces that have small holes gathered closely, which looking at that phone, that is a lot of qualify.
Yeah. So
that's so interesting. I did not realize that.
Yeah, here you go, Burke. I put the link in our chat there so you can see it if you want to pull it up. But it's real. I'm not making this up. Like it is legit real.
I believe you.
And so like whenever I see these phone designs with multiple holes, I feel bad for these folks.
Do holes have to be a certain size? Like, is it like if
no, but like
looking
closely
at them, I might
packed.
fall into them or something? Yeah.
There's a trigger warning for anybody who has it. But yeah, here's some examples if you're watching on the video. Like those plants with the little holes where the seeds come out of, or the pods or whatever.
Yeah, or I imagine looking at a wasp's nest. Even if there's no wasps in there, but seeing those.
Yep, strawberries.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. This is fascinating.
I feel bad if anybody suffers from this that's watching. I apologize that we ran this. Please look away. But it's a real thing, and so I got to wonder, like, is anyone reporting it with these phone designs? Yeah,
I don't know. It's a good question. Question. And there will be a hole for the S Pen, so keep that in mind as well.
It's another hole.
Suffer from this. Don't.
Here's the thing about Android phones. There's so many holes. It's not just Android phones. It's all holes.
We're falling into a hole right now.
We are. Let's get out of it quickly, and let's thank our next sponsor, because this episode of All About Android is brought to you by Audible. And listen, this holiday season will certainly be more special than last year's holiday. That's for sure. I'm looking forward to it. And it's finally time to gather together and exchange thoughtful gifts with the people you care about. And in the midst of the holiday excitement, think about giving yourself the gift of an Audible membership. Now is the absolute best time to do it with a special offer of 46% off your first 4 months. With Audible, you can listen to more of whatever you're into because Audible has it all. An unbeatable selection of audiobooks, tons of binge-worthy podcasts, and exclusive originals, all available to download or stream. And here's what you get. As an Audible member, you can choose one title a month, like the latest bestseller or hottest new release, and it's yours to keep forever. But here's the best part. You also get full access to Audible's streaming library, the Plus catalog. Discover your next podcast obsession, check that audiobook off your bucket list, or get lost in the world of original content from celebrity creators, best-selling authors, and leading experts. The kind of stuff you can't hear anywhere else. Stream all you want, as much as you want. And that's really the best thing to hear. When you have a streaming service, stream as much as you want, all you want, it's all there for you. So to use your Audible membership, you'll need to download the Audible app. The Audible app is free and can be installed on all smartphones and tablets. And listen, I've been using Audible for years. I love Audible. The current title I'm engrossed in is the novelization of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that's written by Quentin Tarantino. So if you saw the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and you want to get lost in that whole world, if you're like me, you loved it. You love Brad Pitt's character. You want to know more. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood novelization is just engrossing. And best of all, it's narrated by Jennifer Jason Leigh. It's not like Audible just gets no names to record these these audiobooks. They get real great folks, and Jennifer Jason Leigh is someone who's worked with Tarantino. It's that little bit of touch, that little extra attention, that the little bit of detail that Audible brings that makes it such a joy to use the app and to listen to such great stuff. So no matter where you're going or what you're doing this holiday season, you'll always have just the right thing to listen to at your fingertips. It's perfect for commuting, at the gym, long road trips, or just cozying up by the fire. So right now, for a limited time, save 46% on your first 4 months of Audible. That's only $7.95 a month. Give yourself the gift of listening. For more, go to audible.com/allaboutandroid or text allaboutandroid to 500-500. That's audible.com/allaboutandroid or text allaboutandroid to 500-500 to start your free trial today. And thanks, Audible, for entertaining us, keeping us entertained, sharing with our friends and family, and just being awesome. Thanks, Audible.
Thank you, Audible. Appreciate y'all. All right. Well, speaking of amazing apps, it's time for some app news. Let's jump in.
I do love apps news when it's not just like, hey, here's a new version of Google Maps,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'm always hoping that there's enough app news to not do that.
What I would really like is I really want an app news scandal. I really want some app I feel like every couple of years there's some app story that is just engrossing, and I feel like we're due for one. So we'll see.
Be careful what you ask for. I'm sure it's right around the corner.
Be careful what you apps for.
Apps for. Ooh, be careful what you apps for. That's a contender for a title like that. How you feeling, Ron, about the metaverse?
I'm into it. Metaverse is real. It's here. I'm told that it's a thing with a cool logo.
It's a thing. It's definitely a thing. It's everyone and their dog seems to be throwing out that they're working on a metaverse something. So it's here to stay. Niantic has been in the augmented reality game longer than most in the smartphone, years. And they've been working on a platform for real world metaverse. That's their words. Real world metaverse apps. It's called Lightship. And basically, it's a way to map real world environments using the device's camera and in an effort to place virtual objects within those environments. We're talking augmented reality. We're talking actually, from what it sounds like, what Niantic has been doing for years, right? They've been creating apps that operate in this way, and it seems like they're opening up this platform for other developers to use for their own AR apps, which is kind of cool. But of course, they're throwing in the metaverse tag because it's 2021. So there we go.
It's a buzzword.
Yes, it's a total buzzword right now. I'm so I don't even know what to think about it. Anyways, the toolkit itself is free. It's available now. Hanky, who is the CEO of Niantic, recently called the metaverse a, quote, dystopian nightmare. This, I believe, was before this happened. So that's how he felt a few months ago. He said his view is that tech shouldn't actually pull people out of the real world. It should more be embedded with the real world, which is the difference between VR and AR and all that stuff. So what do you think? Do you think Niantic is the right company to pave the way for the metaverse in augmented reality sense?
I mean, I don't know about paving the way for augmented reality, but I don't know about paving the way for the metaverse, but I know in terms of augmented reality, I cannot think of anybody who has been more successful than Niantic. Coming down from what was the name of the first game? Ingress. Starting with Ingress, and then obviously Pokemon Go and the thing they did with Harry Potter and like some other things they have in development that I've heard about. Like they are the experts in AR. And when you think about this concept of the metaverse and a world around you and all this sort of stuff, and and having your phone be the portal to it, I can't think of anybody better than Niantic to be kind of forging the path for that. I gotta admit, I do like the name. I do like Lightship. That's a pretty cool name. It's better than the metaverse, that's for sure. But
Lightship.
I mean, that, as a sci-fi nerd, that interests me. I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah,
we're of that for sure, of that generation where we have a certain idea of what a metaverse in air quotes actually would be, and like I guess I've seen examples of this throughout my childhood and adult life, things like Lawnmower Man and whatever along the way. So who knows if it's going to end up actually being like that? But I'm curious, but I'm also a little skeptical too.
Yep. I mean, skeptical is the way we have to be, isn't it? So
it is indeed.
What you could also be skeptical for is Twitter Blue, which for those of you who are hoping for a different use of the word blue, it is not what you think. Twitter Blue is now launching in the United States, and what it is a paid subscription service for Twitter for $3 a month. And the reality of it is, and I'm not surprised about this at all, and this can be controversial, Android users get a far inferior version compared to the iOS users. Android users get exactly. If Burke was on it, he would have played a sad trombone. Android users get a top article. There it is.
There we go.
There it is, Twitter friends. So if you're using the Android version of Twitter Blue, you get a top article section, which is exclusive to Android, of those that have been the most shared, which is likely the result of their acquisition of Nuzzle, which I love that service, and I was bummed that thing got bought.
Yeah, me too.
You do get the undo tweet button, which everybody's been clamoring for, as well as categories for bookmarks. What Android users don't get is support for ad-free reading at a number of sites like the Washington Post, LA Times, USA Today, The Atlantic, and more, and the ability to customize the look of the Twitter app in themes and things like that, which is crazy when you think about it, because when I think of customization, I think of Android, not iOS. But they're starting somewhere. I got to imagine that if enough people complain and want it, they'll bring this stuff to Android. Although I don't know why you launch with different feature set on different platforms. So
yeah, that's a little strange to me too. Like if you really, if this has been in the cooker for a while and you really want people to get excited about it, like bring the full feature set to both sides. It's not like, I don't know. I was going to say, it's not like Twitter's, a mom and pop startup. You know what I mean? Like I have to imagine if this is really important to them, they could have thrown the resources in to make this an obvious go-to choice for people on both platforms, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, and I mean, and it begs a larger discussion, Jason, which is I think is less about Android specific, but more about, is paying $3 for Twitter something that you could see yourself doing? Yeah, no, it's a good question. I was thinking about that today. I mean. Undo tweet, I suppose, is one of the kind of like the marquee features. Like you've always wanted to be able to undo tweets, and now you can for $3 a month. And I'm kind of like at this point, like I'm rarely am I ever tweeting anything that like I really need to like, go back on or I regret or anything. I just don't tweet like that. So I'm kind of whatever. I mean, maybe some of the ad-free, news stuff would be useful. The jury's still out for me. I'm still looking at it going, I just don't know that I really need any of that. Like I'm kind of happy with my Twitter experience right now. Not to mention, I don't need more reasons to use Twitter. I need to, I've been trying to make an effort to kind of peel back on my social media, and so I don't know. Yep. I don't know about me, but what about you? I don't. Yeah, I'm not a voracious Twitter user. Although I did have a great exchange with Drake's, my favorite snack cake company today. Yeah. So I love for the I don't know. I think they're national. I don't know if they're. It might be a Northeast thing, whatever. But Drake's make Yodels, my snack cake of choice. Okay. So, yeah, there you go. Fun fact. But yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not a member of the Twitterati in a way that I used to be. So I don't. For me, the value add here isn't worth the $3 a month kind of cost for it right now. But we'll see what they can bring to it. So. Yep. If I need to edit a tweet, I just delete it and rewrite it again. I don't see why you need, totally. That's what I end up doing too. If I, in the rare case that I need to do that. So, yeah, exactly. No, that's worked fine for me. Yep. If you have
I think we talked about this on the show last week. Android 12, the internet button in quick settings and how that's kind of a polarizing issue for people on Android 12. It used to be that there was a Wi-Fi button and a mobile internet button, and you could disable each individually. Now there's a combined internet button, and when you tap it, it opens up a new screen that has your Wi-Fi and your mobile internet in one. Doesn't allow you to deactivate, certain things. Well, of course, developers to the rescue. If you want to take a trip back in time, you can. There's an open source app on GitHub called Wi-Fi_QS. So it stands for quick settings, of course. And if you install this, it adds a new quick settings tile option that you can drag up and replace the current internet option when you edit your quick settings. That little the little pencil icon that allows you to kind of drag stuff into there and drag stuff out of there. So you can swap it out. And then if you give it location permission, that allows the new tile to show the connected Wi-Fi SSID like it has on previous versions. So it basically works the way it used to. So there you go. All you have to do is find the app Wi-Fi_QS on GitHub, and you can roll your own and go back to the glory days.
So the big question here then is this enough for Burke?
Yeah, is it enough for you, Burke, huh?
No. It needs to come from Google.
Oh, so you don't trust...
My phone's already a bit unstable with Android 12, a couple things, so...
Okay.
But I would definitely welcome this change. Absolutely.
Burke wants a pound of flesh in response to the quick settings panel.
Yes.
Burke wants the answers, so...
Yeah.
You could always just install it and see. You never know. It might actually work. Might work for you,
Try it for me and tell me.
I mean, I've kind of gotten used to the internet panel. I really don't care.
Yeah, I'm kind of over it too. Actually, I've learned to adapt, but it still annoys me every time I do it. The extra step, but yeah, I've called my anger has dissipated over it.
You've just gotten accustomed to being grumpy about it, and that's
well,
fine.
no, I've just moved on to something else to be grumpy about Android 12.
Okay, fair enough. This checks out. This checks out. Sounds. I
gotta admit. Going back to the Android 12 things, like it took a little getting used to, but now it has neither hindered me or advanced my world in any way. Like it just I've moved on now, and it's like so I'm not as grumpy as Burke is. So
Yeah. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I know there are some people out there that really hate it, which is just going to happen, right? Like how many, millions upon millions, or is it billions of users? I don't know. I guess actually it's not billions of users of Android 12 yet, but, a heck of a lot of people out there using it. And, no matter what, you can't please everybody, but I enjoy the changes.
I would really like to have a way to just customize the interface a little bit more to get to the efficiency of the buttons and everything not being so huge, and other than just the controls you had previously.
Increased density of stuff.
Which is just the text and sort of the display elements, how large they are, but that's it.
Yeah, I think you're not alone. I think that's one of the biggest, bigger complaints that people have about the UI refresh is that it really minimized the information density that used to be there. Yeah, it would be nice to have all of that stuff customizable. But this is, after all, for you. It's material you. So it's supposed to make it more...
Isn't that supposed to be customizable? Isn't the U in it? Yeah, I don't know.
Right. Yeah,
grumpy.
It's kind of marketing more than reality, but yeah, that's life and technology, I think.
Indeed.
All right, coming up next, we've got your email. AAA@twit.tv, 347-SHOW AAA. And I will read the first one here. Ken writes in to say, I tweeted, and I missed this, so thank you for emailing it also. It said, I tweeted this to Jason this morning, but he was busy being an important person being interviewed. Good for you, Jason. I was actually on Adam Dowd's show, Beyond Adowd. So it was a lot of fun. I think that's going to come out. I don't know if it's already out, but anyways, look for that. Anyways, Ken says, hi, Jason, longtime AAA viewer. Maybe AAA can shed some light on what Verizon and Made by Google are doing here. This is totally unacceptable. Thanks for the great work you guys do. And what is he talking about? He's talking about, how do I explain this? It's basically Verizon. So we know that Verizon's Pixel 6 devices are $100 more, right? And I think it's the same for AT&T. If you're buying the carrier exclusive versions of the Pixel 6, you're going to pay $100 more. From my understanding, that has to do with millimeter wave compatibility on these devices. That doesn't mean, however, that you can't buy the unlocked version from Google and use it on the Verizon network. In theory, that's the way that it should be. And there's nothing to say that shouldn't work. But people are noticing that they've bought the unlocked version of the Pixel 6, and then they put their Verizon SIM in there. And then, as recently happened, there was a day and date update for Pixel 6 devices that you should have got when you bought your phone. You should have had an immediate update, right? To update it to the November security patch and fix some bugs and features and stuff. Well, if you have the unlocked version of the Pixel 6 and you pop your Verizon SIM in there and you set up your phone that way, you're now registered to Verizon's track, even though it's an unlocked device, which is one of the reasons why people opt to buy an unlocked device, because they want their updates coming from directly Google and not waiting for the carriers. But in the case of Verizon, for whatever reason, I don't know, they have a deal or something that means that even when you're buying the unlocked device, if you've got a Verizon SIM in there, that update is coming from Verizon. And so as a result, those Verizon unlocked Pixel 6s don't have the latest update. They're still locked in October. And in fact, there is a possibility that in order for those devices to be jumped or hopped onto Verizon's update schedule and track, you might actually have to do something like sideloading, the correct version so that it hops on, which, let's be real, we were talking about, was it Joe Blow earlier in the show? I think.
Yeah. Joe Shmoe.
Joe Shmoe. There we go. We were talking about Joe Shmoe earlier in the show. Joe Schmo is probably not going to do that. So, anyways, it's kind of a weird ordeal. I'm curious about this because I do have the 6. My wife has a Verizon SIM. So I want to throw her SIM in the phone and see about that. I also want to see if I have the same issue with receiving SMS messages, which I talked about in a previous episode. I don't need to go back into that again. And if not, I'm going to take it to the store and have them swap it for a new SIM, see if that fixes it. I'm just very curious because I have the unlocked 6 and I want to see what the deal is. So that's what that's all about.
That's what that's all about. So I did like how Ken said he'll hang up and listen. So I appreciate that.
Yes.
So, all right, on to our next email, which comes from the enigmatic H, who writes in and says, this might be from Burke, by the way, but no, it's not. I'm just kidding. So H says, I recently upgraded to Android 12 on my Pixel 3a. Before the upgrade, my toddler used to press buttons on the lock screen and didn't cause any problems. With the upgrade, it seems like there's a new emergency button, the bold red button, to make an immediate call to 911 without having to explicitly dial 911. For the past couple of days, he has managed to call 911 multiple times. As father of 2 toddlers, I relate to this.
Yeah, we all do. Yeah.
So H says, I can't find a way to remove this feature or change the lock screen in any meaningful way. Disabling lock screen removes all biometric auth features. I'm so frustrated with this and the other unnecessary UI changes by Google, like not having a transparent clock widget, that I'm thinking of switching to an iPhone for the first time in my life.
No, don't do it.
Is there a way I can still remain an Android faithful, or should I make the leap to iOS? Well, first off, to answer your question, H, don't make the leap to iOS. You think it's better over there? Come on.
I think there's probably an emergency call button on the lock screen of the iOS devices as well. So, you're not going to get around that.
That says...
It wasn't me, by the way.
This is not a...
So wait a minute. I just did it, H, by the way, my friend. And it's not that... I mean, I see how a toddler did it, but it is not So if you do your lock screen, right? So if you're on your phone and you go to unlock it and you get the keypad, which I assume the kid is doing, down here at the bottom it says emergency call. So swipe up, Jason, hit emergency call. It's not going to do it, don't worry. And then it gives you this screen where you then have to grab the red button and slide it all the way over to the right. Now, admittedly, it does look like a game. And I'm not questioning you, H. I'm sure your kid has called 911 several times, but it's not just one button to dial 911. Like, there's a couple of steps there. But I don't know. It's like,
I understand the frustration. Kids are really good on phones, when they're young of just hitting until they see things. That's a kind of a flashy button, easy for them to hit it. And, as they get older, they get more adept at interacting with the things that are colorful on the screen.
And
so
seeing
I can totally see how it happens.
And seeing a big red button and once you see the motion, you want to see it go. So
right.
Yeah, I get that.
Totally. But, I'm scared to do it, but moving it, you see it move and. Yeah.
I wonder if there's a way to turn that off, though.
I looked in the settings and I could not find a way to turn it off.
Fascinating.
There may have been in a previous version, but I think with Android 12, I don't think that there's a way to remove that. In fact, there are now features in Android 12 that you can activate with the personal safety app that make it so that if you tap your power button 5 times rapidly, it automatically calls emergency services immediately. It's like an emergency toggle, which could pose another problem. So, you know what I mean? Because kids also do that. They get the things and they press the button multiple times because they don't really, they're just interacting with an object, They don't really know. So, I don't really know what to tell you on that. And I don't think that moving to iOS is necessarily going to make that easier because I think iOS has it as well.
I have an iOS device.
Oh, okay.
And so we can look at this. We can real time test it. That if there is a
Do you have
I don't even know how to use it.
In that? Do you have a SIM in that?
Yeah,
phone
there's
right
a SIM
now?
in it. Yeah, it's on Verizon, right?
Okay.
So,
I guess it's just like if a kid was to wake up the display and not unlock it, but wake up the display, is there something that's going to take that kid?
I don't get a key call. I don't get a keypad or anything. Oh, okay. I press home to unlock, and it's just using fingerprint, and so it just doesn't,
So it doesn't give you.
I don't know enough about this
stuff.
This isn't my phone, so I don't know what's going on. But for this very reason,
but still, you're kind of like a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting to the front screen of the device. Yeah. Well, I was just kind of assuming that it would have it, but there you go.
Jason, doesn't if you have it set to fingerprint unlock, doesn't it have to go through that first before it even tries to bring up the keypad?
No, there's a button under on iOS or on Android.
Android.
There's a button under the keypad unlock that says emergency call, and that's what's triggering it.
Right. Yeah, I can show it again. So this is just your regular.
Okay, here we go. I did it. I was able to do it. So I've got Touch ID or enter passcode, and there's an emergency button, and I press emergency, and then it gives you a dial pad. It's hard to see, but it's all white.
Yeah,
but
it's all white.
Whatever. It's giving me a dial pad where I can type numbers and then a green button to hit dial 9. So you'd have to do 911 and hit dial. So it is a lot easier to call 911 on Android than it is on iOS.
Which, depending on the scenario, is a good thing or a bad thing, right? It's a good thing if what you need is 911 right away without muss or fuss, and it's a bad thing if you have a kid that's smart.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I did hear people calling like the sheriff reporting that the internet was out today in Marin, so maybe that's a thing.
Oh,
with Android.
Oh no, the internet's out. Police, get my internet working again. So I don't know that we have a good answer for you, H. But we're pleading with you. Don't go. Don't make this the reason that you jump ship.
Yeah, this isn't the reason.
Yeah,
but I do
know. Although I totally get it.
It is tempting to give the kid the phone and play with it. Just play with it. It's like you can't do anything, and clearly, yeah.
Yeah, and it probably reinforces itself every time the kid gets it. And faced
because you're reacting to it, and like you're going, don't do that. Yeah, exactly.
Last time I did this, I slid this over, and it made a loud noise. It's like
H, I can't.
What do you do?
I can't argue. I can't argue the issue. You don't give the kid the phone. That's the thing. I went through a bad phase with my daughter who discovered Instagram filters. There's an Instagram filter that turns your head into a lemon or a Yemen, as she says, because she doesn't pronounce L's. And literally it was weeks where like every morning she's like, "Where's your phone? Yemen? Yemen? Can I see Yemen? Yemen?" And it's just like, and it got and I'm sitting there for 30 minutes with her. And like, it's cute the first time she does it where she starts giggling and stuff like that. But then it's like when you have to get dressed and you have to move on with the day and you want to stop doing it and the kid doesn't want to.
And they're obsessed.
They're obsessed. So like I just had to stop bringing my phone out in the mornings and she's like, "Where's your phone?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't have it." That's the challenge. I mean, my son, when I take my phone out at bedtime, he like knocks it out of my hand. So it's like, they're figuring it out. But yeah, I think H, the challenge is on you and is to not give the kid the phone. Unfortunately, I think that's the answer.
I mean, maybe the bigger challenge, depending on how big the kid is, how old the kid is or where you put the phone, making it so that they can't intercept it anyways, because that happens too when you're a parent.
Yeah, exactly.
But ultimately, you're waiting to get to the point where the kid is old enough to understand to not do that, and it sounds like the kid is not quite there yet. And that will happen.
It was funny because and so H, I just want to sympathize with you. Like I have two almost 3-year-olds, so this year has definitely been challenging with toddlers. So I definitely feel for you. A friend of mine who has a kid in college and another kid in high school, I think, I was asking some parenting advice and he gave me some great parenting advice, which he said, "Oh, I know your problem." He's like, "You just need your kids to grow up."
Yeah,
like, right. Yes, you're right.
There you go.
You are right. So so I'm crossing my fingers and I'm counting the days.
Short-term pain. Yep, exactly. And you know what? That advice never seems to get old. I mean, at any stage of a kid's development, it's always like, I just need them to be a little bit older.
He just needs you to grow up. You just grow up.
I just need you just grow up. Thank you. Work on that.
Okay.
All right. It is time for the email of the week. All right. This week's email of the week comes from John from Finally Getting Colder, Central West Virginia, who writes in to say, "My Note 8 was finally starting to show its age. The Pixel 6 line was being rumored, specs leaking out, and listening to AAA and the hype around it, I stuck around until I could pre-order the Pixel 6 Pro. Like Leo, I was unable to pre-order on Google's site, but I was still able to through Verizon's site, so I received my Pixel 6 Pro on the day of the release. I spent the entire evening watching while Google transferred all my data over, which went without error. I've used the Pixel 6 Pro for 2 weeks now, only have one true complaint. My contacts. On my Samsung devices, my contacts would contain all their different numbers under one contact entry. So home, personal cell, work cell, fax, blah, blah, blah. When I went to call a coworker the other day, I noticed now I have 3 separate entries for one name. I only see the name in the list, so each number is now its own entry, and I have to tap into each one to find out if it's home, work, or personal. I saw no option to merge the numbers back into one main entry, but I see the ability to edit one contact and add multiple numbers. My question is, why couldn't that have been copied as a merged contact in the first place? Does anyone have any recommendations? I know I might just have to bite the bullet and spend an evening or two to write down all my contacts, each of their numbers, and go in one at a time to build new contacts for each person. And John, that sounds painful to have to do that. I would not want to do that. If you don't do this on your phone, go to a desktop browser and go to contacts.google.com. You will see on the display or on that interface in the left-hand column, there's contacts, there's frequently contacted, and then there's merge and fix. And I'm almost certain if you go there, you're going to have like a large number of these things in there. And it's like a one tap thing. You literally just say, yes, fix them all. And it goes, bloop, and it merges them all. So hopefully that means you don't have to do it all manually. And I'm just crossing my fingers that they all appear there. I don't know why it did that, but I think it's going to be a pretty easy fix for you, I'm imagining.
Yeah, the merge and fix, like contacts.google.com is my best friend, by the way, in terms of like, because I don't memorize anyone's phone number at all. I'm like being able to pull up my wife's phone number to send to somebody, stuff like that. But like contacts.google.com is such a great tool, and that merge and fix option is amazing. So I strongly recommend it. So
yeah, it really is, and especially if you refer to it randomly here and there to kind of see what new things have happened, because because it's tied to your Google account, it might recognize that you've sent an email to that person, but that you never added that email to that person's contact card. So it's like it knows that that's Joe Shmoe. Right? Joe Shmoe is the name of the episode. It knows that email that you sent is to Joe Shmoe. It also knows that you have a Joe Shmoe with phone number details over here, but those two things aren't connected, even though one's in email, one's in phone or whatever. And then you go to this merge and fix, and it's like, we've recognized this from over here, this from over here. Are they the same person? Great. Boop. And now you get, kind of some extra features like the photo. If you have a photo associated, now it's appearing in your email, and, it just keeps everything all connected. So it's really nice, and it's pretty easy to do. Contacts.google.com. That should solve your problem. I hope so anyways. Thank you, John, for writing in, because when you write in with such awesome emails, you get the email of the week.
It's an honor to be bestowed, John. So I hope you enjoy it.
Yes. So. Yeah. We've talked in previous episodes about merchandise that would be amazing for All About Android. That'll probably never happen. I was the email of the week would be one thing that we could do too. But only allow people who were actually email of the week get them. So thank you. Thank you, Brooke. Thank you. All right, that's it. We've reached the end of this episode of All About Android, and it was a lot of fun. Always fun hanging out with you, Ron and Burke. You guys are awesome. Ron, what do you want to plug?
I don't want to plug anything tonight. I just want to be real. I just want to be me. So just follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RonXO, and go to Scorebit.io to check out cool pinball stuff. You can get the Scorebit app in Google Play. Download it for Android now. But yeah, that's about it. Just hanging in, just enjoying a nice week of a little more warm weather before it gets really cold here in New York. So and just Jason, loving talking about Android with you. So.
Yes, me too. This was a lot of fun. It's always enjoyable. Always the perfect way to spend a Tuesday evening. Sure. Thank you, Burke, for pushing buttons at the studio. Thank you, Victor, for editing behind the scenes. Thank you both for just being super awesome. And thank you, folks out there who have heard me in the past couple of weeks talk about my Movember fundraise for men's health and mental health. Looking pretty good. I mean, it's November 9th. This goes through the end of November, and I'm already at $625 out of my $1,000 target. So things are going really good, except for this stuff that's growing on my face. Like, I don't know if that's going really good. What you're looking at, this is this is pathetic. This is like 2.5 weeks right here.
That's brilliant.
So
I love it.
This is what happens when I do what I've never done before, which is grow out the hair on my face, and I'm doing it all for Movember's cause. So there we go. If you go to my Twitter profile at Jason Howell, you will find a link at the top of my profile. It's probably the easiest way to find my.
I noticed some
Movember
sideburns
page.
too there, Jason.
Yeah, I think the sideburns I might actually keep. I think I'm going to keep the sideburns, but it's this stuff that I'm still uncertain on.
He's crimping your style, Ron.
No, I don't think he is. I think I'm okay.
Ron doesn't own the sideburn.
And I also don't think that there's a threat there at all.
It's so true. There's no threat. Believe me. I'm not a facial hair threat for anyone.
I just donated, Jason, so now you're up to $675. So there you go. So
Ron,
there it is. I've been meaning to do it. So yep.
That's super awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
That's rad. Let's see here. twit.tv/clubtwit if you want to subscribe to our shows ad-free. It's a subscription tier. It removes all the ads from the shows. Also, you get an exclusive Twit Plus podcast feed where we throw lots of extra content. I think today we might even throw some stuff in there about drum machines and the Sparks Brothers conversation we had in the pre-show. And then a members-only Discord channel or Discord community that you get access to. Lots of people pitching in there in so many different facets of what we do in tech and then outside of tech even. It's a really cool community. $7 a month, twit.tv/clubtwit, and you should check that out. But that is it for this week's episode of All About Android. Always appreciate hanging out with you on Tuesday evenings. We do publish the show every Tuesday, late in the evening, because we record a little bit later in the afternoon, early evening. So subscribe, twit.tv/AAA. All the details that you need to subscribe in audio and video formats are there. So do that. You can also jump out to YouTube and subscribe there if you prefer. We don't really care. Just subscribe, and then you don't have to think about it. But that's it for this week's episode. We'll see you next time on All About Android. Bye, everybody.
Hey, you don't have to wait till the weekend to get the tech news you need. Join Jason Howell and myself, Micah Sargent, for Tech News Weekly, where we talk to and about the people making and breaking the tech news.